Ordinary house cat becomes foster mom to 4 tiny orphaned squirrels. A regular house cat became a foster mother to 4 orphaned squirrels and saved their lives. This story began in a small town called Greenwood, located on the edge of a dense forest, where majestic oaks stood alongside slender birch trees and sprawling maples. Sean White, a local veterinarian with 15 years of experience, never thought a simple walk after a powerful storm would change his life forever. On that fresh May evening, the air was crisp after the rain, and droplets fell like crystal beads from the rustling treetops. Sean's attention was drawn to a fallen old oak, its massive branches sprawled on the wet ground, roots exposed like giant fingers reaching skyward. As he circled the tree, a faint squeak caught his trained ear, a sound of despair and fear barely audible above the rustling leaves. Approaching the cracked, damp trunk cautiously, he discovered a small hollow partially concealed by a broken branch. Inside the hollow, huddled together in a tiny furry ball, were 4 newborn squirrels, their fragile bodies trembling with cold and fear. Their eyes were still closed, and their sparse fur made them resemble little clumps of grayish-red fluff. Sean carefully scanned the surrounding trees and bushes, searching for any sign of the mother squirrel. Unfortunately, there was no sign of the mother squirrel. The area was littered with broken branches and wet leaves, remnants of the recent storm. It seemed likely that she had either perished during the storm or, injured by the falling tree, had fled in fear, abandoning her babies. Time was critical. Without their mother's warmth and food, the tiny creatures wouldn't survive more than a few hours in the cold, damp hollow. Sean knew the chances of raising wild animals at home were slim, especially such small, defenseless ones, but he couldn't just leave them to die. His medical ethics and conscience wouldn't allow him to pass by taking off his warm wool jacket. He carefully placed the squirrels inside, making sure not to harm them with his large hands. The babies were so small that all 4 fit in his palm. Their tiny hearts beat so fast that it seemed they might stop out of fear. At home, Sean had recently experienced a joyful event. His beloved 7-year-old gray cat Bonnie, with expressive green eyes, gave birth to 3 kittens a week ago. Bonnie was an unusual cat, calm and patient, with a surprisingly gentle nature rarely seen in pets. She had come to Sean as a kitten after being found abandoned at the door of the veterinary clinic on a cold October morning. Wrapped in an old towel on his way home, Sean anxiously thought about how to save the squirrels, running through all his knowledge about caring for newborn animals. It was a bold and risky idea, but Sean had no other options. There was no wildlife center in town. Entering the house, he approached Bonnie, who was nursing her kittens in a basket lined with soft towels. His heart raced as he considered how she might react to strange babies. Bonnie raised her head curiously as Sean sat beside her. Gently, he held up the largest squirrel to her nose, holding his breath. Bonnie sniffed it, her whiskers twitching and pupils widening. After a moment of inspection, she began licking it with tender strokes of her rough tongue. Sean exhaled in relief. Bonnie had accepted the first squirrel, and the hope of saving the tiny lives was now a reality. One by one, he gave all the squirrels to Bonnie, and she accepted each one with the same motherly care. To his amazement, the cat accepted them without hesitation, as if they were her own lost babies, finally found. A new chapter began in this unusual family's life, filled with care and worries. Sean understood that Bonnie's milk alone wouldn't be enough for the 4 babies, especially since they needed special food. Sean set up round-the-clock shifts, feeding the squirrels every 2 hours with a special formula from a tiny bottle he crafted using medical rubber. Bonnie patiently observed, showing no jealousy, and cared for her kittens and adopted babies alike, warming them with her fluffy gray tail. Day by day, the squirrels grew stronger, their movements more confident, and their voices louder. Their fur thickened with a reddish hue, and their curious black eyes opened to the world. Sean named them Booster, Spunky, Libby, and Kirby, each name reflecting their unique personalities. Each squirrel developed a distinct personality as the days passed. Booster was the most adventurous, always exploring and attempting to climb out of the basket. Spunky, ever cautious, stayed close to Bonnie, rarely straying far from his foster mother. Libby displayed remarkable agility, leaping and twisting with ease, while Kirby, the most affectionate, often curled up with the kittens, his nose buried in Bonnie's fur. The kittens accepted their unusual siblings as if no difference existed, playing together for hours without regard for their distinct tails or fur. Watching them sleep in a tangled fluffy ball, where tails and bodies blended seamlessly, was especially heartwarming. Bunny, ever patient, even taught the squirrels to groom themselves, demonstrating proper washing techniques, though their movements were naturally different from the kittens. Sean carefully documented each day of this unusual family's life, understanding the uniqueness of the situation. He took photos and videos, kept a detailed observation diary, consulted colleagues about proper squirrel care, and studied special literature on wild animals. His story began to spread among local residents, attracting attention not only from neighbors, but also from journalists from local newspapers. Many visitors came to see Bonnie, the gray cat who had become a mother to wild creatures. She patiently tolerated their presence until they got too close to her unusual brood. Time flew by, filled with care and small joys, as the squirrels grew more active and curious, their natural instincts sharpening. They climbed curtains and furniture with ease, leaving their kitten siblings puzzled by their acrobatic feats. Understanding the inevitable, Sean began preparing the squirrels for life in the wild. He introduced them to nuts and seeds, taught them to find and hide food, and set up feeders and small shelters in the backyard for practice. Though it pained him, Sean knew the time had come to release his little wards into the wild. This decision was hard for him, but he knew it was right. They were wild animals and deserved a free life in their natural habitat. The veterinarian chose a part of the forest not far from his home, where many oaks and Libby trees grew, creating an ideal environment for the young squirrels. For a week, he took the squirrels there on short excursions, letting them explore the area under his supervision to gradually get used to their new home. The day of parting was warm and sunny, as if nature blessed this significant moment. Sean checked the tree houses one last time and filled the feeders with nuts and seeds to support his wards. Bonnie, sensing the importance of the day, sat beside Sean, her gray fur shimmering in the sunlight, watching as her unusual children explored their new home. The squirrels hesitated at first, but their instincts soon awakened. Booster was the first to climb a tall oak, his reddish tail flickering like a tiny flame among the leaves, leading the way for the others. Spunky hesitated for a while but then followed his brother, overcoming his natural caution. Libby showed remarkable agility, jumping from branch to branch with the grace of a born acrobat. Kirby was the last to leave Bonnie's side, as if reluctant to part with the foster mother who had replaced his own. He returned to her several times, nuzzling her gray fur as if trying to imprint her scent in his memory forever. At last, he joined his siblings, his tail flickering among the branches like a final farewell. Sean frequently visited the area, bringing food and checking on his wards. To his delight, the squirrels had adapted beautifully to life in the forest. Their natural instincts fully emerged as they learned to forage for food, build nests high in the trees, and navigate the hidden dangers of the forest. Occasionally, they would return to the forest's edge, their reddish tails flickering among the branches like vibrant flags, as if visiting their savior. The most heartwarming moments, however, were their reunions with their foster mother. Bonnie, noticing the familiar reddish tails among the branches, would sit quietly at the edge of the clearing, patiently waiting for the squirrels to come down to her. They would cuddle against her warm sides and play with her tail, just as they had when they were tiny babies huddled together in the woven basket. As the colder weather arrived, a remarkable scene would sometimes unfold: an older, gentle gray cat sitting peacefully among 4 wild squirrels who had once been her babies. Bonnie's green eyes still glowed with the same motherly love, unbothered by the boundaries of species. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.